looking forward to. Kylian Mbappe is taking his first steps on the Bernabeu pitch, saluting the crowd, the fully packed Santiago Bernabeu on this historic day. For his
Kylian Mbappe to Madrid was like the worst kept secret in footy. Everyone believed it was going to happen, but every year he just kept extending over there. It almost made people think that PSG had something over him. Just kidding. But right now, Madrid, it looks like he made the worst decision possible to come there. And you're probably like, what? But in my opinion, they just had one of their worst seasons. They're about to finish trophyless, and it's part to do with him and Vinicius' partnership. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell, and we're going to get right into this thing. So look, Mbappe is probably, in my opinion, top 3 player in the league and in the world. He's unstoppable. Fast transitions, cutting in, his signature Mbappe finish to the near post. There's so many traits that you love in Mbappe. But then you look at Vinicius, and he just had one of his best seasons last season, and they won the Champions League, and they won La Liga. So you go and see that they just did the league double with the Champions League, and then this season they're going to finish trophyless. They literally just lost to Barcelona over the past weekend. And guess what? It was the same issue. They started the game without Mbappe because of that injury. They looked way better without him. Then they substituted Vinicius. They put in Mbappe for Vinicius. And guess what? They looked way better. But that's the issue. You cannot play all 3 of them. You play 3 left wingers, the pass maps are going to look diabolical. In fact, one of their first games, I found a pass map. Look at this. It's literally a Bermuda triangle on the left wing. Mbappe and Vinicius Júnior are playing you touch, I touch. And Rodrigo's left by himself. And this happens so often in Real Madrid games where it seems like those 2 play buddy ball and no one else touches it. And then there's a big gap in the middle. In today's game of footy, unfortunately, you need a 9. You need someone to be a presence up front. And just because Mbappe wears the number 9 doesn't mean he actually likes playing it. He actually hates it. Case in example, the reason why they lost and crashed out of the Champions League is because of the no 9. Look at Saliba. He's making a choice chasing Mbappe. If Mbappe just does a little fake and then run into that zone where I put the arrow, he's in behind. But guess what Mbappe likes to do? He's a ball to feet player now. A lot of people, I feel like, haven't watched Mbappe to know that he has changed. He likes coming to get the ball and running at defenders. He very seldomly runs in behind anymore. Those days are actually gone. I don't know what happened to him. I feel like maybe he thought he can become Neymar, and there's only one of them. And then you look at this image right here. He comes and gets the ball. Who's in the middle? No one. Guess who's by himself? Rodrigo. It's literally the image of the pass map come to life. This is so easy for Arsenal. Everything's in front of them. They don't need to panic. Mbappe would have to be Messi to dribble through all of them. And in fact, he tries to do it every time. I found another image, and you can see here, Mbappe collects the ball here. Why is it your striker at left back? That's a big question to ask. But anyways, he's getting the ball. Vinicius, you can see, and Júnior are in front of him. Now you might think, if Vinicius sees that he's going left wing, he should run down the middle as a pseudo striker. Nope. Guess what they do? They overlap each other. They run the same areas. This is what happens from almost any game I've watched in Real Madrid. If both of them are playing, they're just doing the same thing. And that usually is okay. You can get away with when you're playing Las Palmas or Girona or one of those bottom of the league La Liga teams. But when you're in the Champions League, it doesn't work. In fact, when they even played Valencia, who's actually not having that good of a season, look what Mbappe does. The ball's coming to Jude at left wing. Vinny's making a run. What's Mbappe doing? Stationary. That's the word that's going to be used a lot in this video, is that this guy, Mbappe, has become so stationary and static. Run in behinds are few far in between. I actually had to go far back to October when they played Mallorca, and Mbappe made a run in behind. And it actually worked out for Madrid. Yes, I seem to believe from what I saw that he's made maybe 1 or 2 run in behinds every game. In a 90-minute game, that's not enough for your quote-unquote striker. And due to Mbappe and Vinicius both being poor on the right, it forces Rodrigo to go there. He learned it by trait. And when he's trying to create something, look, Mbappe just leaves the center and just comes towards him. Jude is already there. That's his spot as a center attacking midfielder. What is Mbappe doing there? Yeah, he could maybe possibly do a 1-2 here. Rodrigo passes to Jude. Mbappe dummies it, but that's not what happens. And then it happens on the left. Rodrigo comes to the left. Vinicius is there. Guess what, Mbappe? That literally is the worst image you could show an actual tactical mind. You're going to look at that and say, why are they all just jumbled together? A defender is going to be easy to sniff that out. In fact, if I remember correctly from this play, that center back that's close to Rodrigo intercepted it and they counterattacked. So basically, what I wanted to show in those images is that Mbappe and Vini both excel on the left as well as Rodrigo. So you're basically set up for failure there because you have three players all better on the left. Then you're forced to play one of them on the right because the other two don't want to play on the right. And now when you go against a low block, which is now something that happens so often in football, you're kind of screwed because when you go against low blocks, you need someone who's actually stationary. I know I said that's the word we're going to use as a negative, but it can also be a positive. But another factor that I feel like is playing into this is Ancelotti, who I'm not someone who will slander someone who's been one of the greats, actually, in my opinion, a top 5 coach of all time, manager. But his preferred system is a 4-4-2. But because you have Rodrigo, Vini, and Mbappe, you're forced to play all three. So guess what he has to do? He has to play 4-3-3. And the only time that 4-3-3 worked for Ancelotti was when he was playing with Bale on the right, Ronaldo on the left, and Benzema. Those are all three players playing their natural positions. You can't do that with three right-footed players, especially all of them who are uncomfortable playing on the right. So now Ancelotti can't play his preferred system, and he likes playing free-flowing attacking football, something that I love. But you can't do that without structure. You need structure when you're playing with these type of chaotic ballers. And in my opinion, Mbappe, Rodrigo, and Vini, you need structure. And I love what Ancelotti brings to the game. But in today's game, it does not work anymore, unfortunately. Unless you're playing a flick style of footy, which we'll talk about in another video. But another reason why these two will never work, in my opinion, is that they're two of the worst pressers in all of football. You might as well just assume when Madrid doesn't have the ball, they're playing 9v11 because they're not attacking these center backs. As you can see what I diagrammed, the pass is coming in. Yeah, Valverde can come in and step in, but let's say if that's a technically astute midfielder, if he turns, they're finished. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players taken out with one pass. Again, another screenshot that I diagrammed here. What is happening? Another one. You see Mbappe and Vini, they're just standing. They're not even trying to close down. And in today's game, I know a lot of people hate managers now who force their attackers to defend, but you need it. If you want to win everything in today's game, you can only get away with one non-defending attacker. To have two is literally asking for a death sentence. Again, the first leg where I essentially believe they lost the tie, you can see Real has the ball. What is Mbappe and Vini doing? When has that ever worked where two players are that close is going to stop anything in pressing? Neither of them attack, neither one trigger anything. They just stand there. So Raya takes his time and picks out a pass to Odegaard, who's actually on the right wing. Look how much space he covered in that pass. And two of them just eliminated. Now that's 4 players eliminated right there because Jude has to run back. Kamavinga has to commit to that. That is 5 players committed. Now Arsenal can create a artificial transition just off of the strength of these two not pressing. And I'm not saying that them being bad pressers is the worst thing, because as you heard from before, Salah said that Arne Slot let him not do much defensive duties. That's because one player is not defending. Vinicius last year was that one player for Madrid. He was not defending, but guess what? He had everyone doing the work for him because he was contributing on the other end. But now that him and Mbappe are also not contributing on the other end and not defending, it basically means that they're playing with literally 8 players because Rodrigo's having a bad season as well. And yeah, Mbappe has the stats, but Vinicius is suffering from those stats. Because if you can look at this, he has 3 goals in the last 4 months. Yeah, he had a missile injury for 3 games and a red card for 2, I should say. That's still terrible. And you can blame it on him for saying he wanted to be a Ballon d'Or and he's not performing like a Ballon d'Or. But if you watch Real Madrid, Mbappe takes up all the spots that Vinicius usually does. So then he has to play creator. But it works if you have an actual striker. But they don't. The player who I believe is suffering the most from Mbappe's recent joining is Jude Bellingham. Last season, he looked like, to me, the best under 22 player in the world. And there's a reason why, because he does everything you want in a midfielder and he was contributing with goals. Last season, he finished with 19 La Liga goals. This season, he's at 8. Think about this. He is literally going to finish with half of his goal tally because of what he has to do now. He has to cover 3 non-defenders, so he's never going up on the field. And someone who I think is getting slated way too much is Rodrigo. Yes, he's not as good as Vinny and Mbappe. To me, Rodrigo is probably a top 5 to 10 left winger in the world. If you put him on Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City, any of those teams, even Liverpool, he would shine bright. But guess what? Because he has to get shifted to the right wing, he looks absolutely terrible. If you look at his last literally 3 months, he has 1 assist. Actually, if you count January too, 1 assist in 4 months. That is diabolical. And it's all because you have 3 of the same players doing the same thing. So this gets to my final point. I think Madrid has to make a decision. They already are letting Ancelotti go. They have to make a decision on Mbappe, Vinny, and Rodrigo. At least one of them has to get sold. And in my opinion, that's going to be Rodrigo. And Vinny and Mbappe, you have to make a choice. Who's going to be your left winger? You chased Mbappe for God knows how long, maybe 10 years. Vinny has been your building block. Who do you choose? You let me know in the comments if you think this is ever going to work and if there's a manager out there who can potentially get these 2 to work. In my opinion, they're destined to fail. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments and hit that notification bell. And thank you for watching.